Sam Nujoma, President of Namibia. Sam Nujoma, born May 12, 1929, Awambo, Southwest Africa, now Namibia, died February 8, 2025, Windhoek, Namibia, was the leader of the Southwest Africa People's Organization, SWAPO, liberation movement and, later, a political party, who served as the first president of independent Namibia, 1990 to 2005. Nujoma was born to a peasant family in the remote Ongandhera region of Awambo, Ovamboland, and spent his early years tending the family's few cattle and goats. His primary education began at night school, and he left school at age 16 to become a railway dining car steward. After a fellow worker was sent home without compensation following a serious injury, Nujoma tried to form a trade union for railwaymen but was discharged. He subsequently worked as a clerk and a store assistant. In the late 1950s, he helped found the Ovamboland People's Organization, the forerunner of SWAPO. He went into exile in 1960 and was named president of SWAPO after it was founded on April 19 of that year. After several years of fruitlessly petitioning the United Nations to compel South Africa to release control of Southwest Africa, SWAPO embarked on an armed struggle in 1966. Although its guerrilla force, the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, PLAN, failed to liberate any territory, it succeeded in focusing international attention on Namibia. In 1973, the UN General Assembly recognized SWAPO as the sole legitimate representative of the Namibian people, and in 1978 the Security Council adopted Resolution 435, which set out terms for eventual Namibian independence and which was finally accepted by South Africa in 1988. In September 1989, after nearly 30 years in exile, Nujoma returned to Namibia to lead SWAPO to victory in the unsupervised November elections. On the day of Namibia's independence, March 21, 1990, Nujoma was sworn in as president. Although often accused of being a Marxist, Nujoma professed himself drawn more to the pragmatism of Scandinavian democratic socialism. In 1994 he was re-elected president, and in 1998 the SWAPO-controlled parliament agreed to amend the constitution, allowing Nujoma to run for a third term. The move drew international and domestic criticism, but Nujoma easily won re-election in 1999. He later announced that he would not run for a fourth term, and in 2005 he stepped down from office, allowing for a peaceful transfer of power to his democratically elected successor, SWAPO stalwart Hifikepunye Pohamba. Later that year, the Namibian parliament formally honored Nujoma with the title, Founding Father of the Namibian Nation. He stepped down from his position as president of SWAPO in 2007. Revered as Father of the Nation, and the icon of Namibia's liberation struggle, Sam Nujoma lived up to these expectations in more ways than one. His warm, broad smile and easygoing manner made him likable and accessible. Whether donning a tracksuit to join a fun run along Windhoek's Independence Avenue, or insisting his driver hang back from official motorcades, he aimed to be a man of the people. Now, 4 decades after leading Namibia through a bitter guerrilla war against South Africa's racist apartheid government and on to independence, Nujoma has died aged 95. He died on Saturday after being in hospital for 3 weeks due to ill health, President Nangolo Mbumba announced in a statement, adding that the death had shaken the country. Fighting for freedom, the giant who shaped Namibia's national identity leaves a void few can hope to fill. Namibia, previously called Southwest Africa, suffered decades of looting and colonial violence at the hands of Europeans who had flocked to the country around the turn of the 20th century. Starting in 1904, German colonizers killed tens of thousands of Namibians in what has been dubbed the world's forgotten genocide. German officers used black Africans as guinea pigs for horrific crimes later repeated by the Nazis during the Holocaust. Namibia was under German occupation from 1884 until 1915, when Germany lost its colony in World War I. Namibia then fell under the rule of white South Africa, which extended its racist laws to the country, denying black Namibians any political rights, as well as restricting social and economic freedoms. The introduction of sweeping apartheid legislation led to a guerrilla war of independence breaking out in 1966. By this stage, Nujoma was already involved in the fight against white minority rule. The self-confessed, elder son of a peasant family, from the northern village of Atunda had a modest start in life, with little more than a primary school education. Married to Kovambo Theopoldine Kadjimune with whom he had 4 children, and working on a railway, he held a deep passion for politics and yearned to see his people free from the injustice and indignity of colonialism. Inspiration came in the stories of early Namibian resistance leaders, such as Hendrik Witbooi, who fought against the Germans in the 1880s. By 1959, Nujoma had become the head of the Awamboland People's Organization, the independence movement that was a forerunner to SWAPO. A year later, aged 30, Nujoma was forced into exile. With no passport, he used his cunning to adopt different personas and blagged his way onto trains and planes, ending up in Zambia and Tanzania before heading to West Africa. With the help of Liberian authorities who were early backers of Black Namibians' push for independence, Nujoma flew to New York and petitioned the UN to help grant Namibia its independence, but South Africa refused. Nujoma was branded a Marxist terrorist by South Africa's white leaders for leading forces that fought alongside the anti-apartheid movement, posing a formidable challenge to the oppressive regimes in several southern African countries. With support from Cuban troops who were fighting in neighboring Angola, SWAPO guerrillas were able to attack South African bases in Namibia. Returning from exile, Nujoma was swiftly rearrested by the South African authorities and deported to Zambia 6 years later. We knew that only military force and mass political mobilization backed by the support of the people would force South Africa out of Namibia, Nujoma narrated in his autobiography Where Others Wavered, which was published in 2001. He led SWAPO forces from exile, before returning to the country in 1989, a year after South Africa had agreed to Namibian independence. South Africa was becoming more isolated internationally and the cost of military intervention was increasing. Namibia finally gained independence in 1990 after almost 25 years of warfare. Building a nation. In Namibia's first democratic elections in 1990, SWAPO won a huge majority and Nujoma became the country's first president. Nujoma was especially concerned with the plight of children, introducing maintenance payments obliging absent fathers to contribute to the cost of raising their offspring. He also championed the advancement of women, helping to change traditional patriarchal practices that forced widows out of the family home once their husband died. He also appeared keen to preserve stability to ensure development efforts were supported by international donors. Nujoma was re-elected for 2 more terms in 1994 and 1999 when he was criticized for having the constitution changed so that he could stand for a 3rd term in office. When criticized for his style of government or questioned about his party's political past, the wide smile could turn sour. Pointing a finger at whoever dared openly question or criticize, he would sometimes lose his countenance and hurl insults. He openly abhorred same-sex relationships, but never went as far as changing the constitution or the law to make them illegal. Nujoma always valued his close friendship with Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe, yet as Namibia's president he mostly steered clear of open aggression against those who did not agree with him. However, through the SWAPO machinery, he would quite happily exert pressure on the common man to toe the party line and allow the party to delve into government coffers to ensure continued rule. Nujoma's cabinet was often dictated to rather than reaching decisions by joint debate, such was his power. When he stepped down as president in 2005 and as SWAPO president in 2007 after serving as the party leader for 47 years, he handed power to his successor, Hifikepunye Pohamba. Even after leaving office, Nujoma still wielded considerable power over the party and government from behind the scenes. Yet his achievements while in office are undeniable, with many Namibians praising him for leading the country's smooth transition to democratic rule. Since independence, Namibia has been seen as one of Africa's success stories, with regular peaceful and democratic elections. And, despite the humiliations and injustices heaped upon Black Namibians by white colonizers, Nujoma upheld the country's constitution in safeguarding the basic rights of all Namibians whatever their ethnicity. The policy of national reconciliation encouraged the country's white community to remain, and they still play a major role in farming and other economic sectors. Nujoma's ability to unify a nation of 3 million people, across 10 ethnic and linguistic communities, won him many admirers. In recognition of his towering achievement, the Namibian parliament granted him the official status of Founding Father of Namibia in 2005. Numerous international honors included the Lenin Peace Prize, the Indira Gandhi Peace Prize and the Ho Chi Minh Peace Prize. In his latter years, Nujoma disappeared from the limelight, preferring instead to spend time with his large family. He is remembered for his easy charm and unwavering conviction, father not just to a family but a whole nation. Like and subscribe for more.